You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry, ChillyBoy Chillson, and this is my review for Orion and the Dark. Now, before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. Orion and the Dark is a 2023 animated adventure film that follows the story of Orion, an anxiety and fear riddled 11-year-old who one night must face his biggest fear of all, dark. When the actual embodiment of his biggest fear, dark, wisps Orion away on a worldly adventure to show him there's nothing to be afraid of, Orion must make the decision on if he's ready to plunge into the unknown and face his fears. The film is directed by Sean Sharmatz and written by Charlie Kaufman, with an all-star voice cast including Jacob Tremblay, Paul Walter Hauser, Ike Barinholtz, Carla Gugino, Colin Hanks, and Angela Bassett. So Orion and the Dark is the latest film from Dreamworks Animation, this time also in conjunction with Netflix, as it is premiering on the streaming platform. So naturally, I was very curious, because while Dreamworks by and large is very hit or miss, see the fact that we ended 2022 Dreamworks with the amazing Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and then 2023 Dreamworks, and then I didn't really enjoy either of 2023 Dreamworks films. And that's kind of just what you get with the studio. For every absolute timeless classic they produce, they also give us a clunker or two in the filmography. And the same can kind of be said about Netflix with their animated offerings. Clearly, last year they gave us Nimona, one of my favorite animated films of the past several years, but they also pump out so many animated films every year that most of them get lost in the sea. So when the two come together, were they able to deliver greatness? Or is Orion destined to be lost to the dark? Well, for me, Orion and the Dark kind of lands smack dab in the middle. I appreciate so much of what this film brings to the table, but it all just overextends and shoots past that sweet spot of greatness. So let's go ahead and kick things off with the positives. Well, I have to start with the animation because it's not fully a positive for me, but wow, when it hits, this film is beautiful. Really, my only detraction when it comes to the animation was the human designs because they're really not stylized enough to feel purposeful. Thus, they kind of come off feeling like rudimentary animation on a 3D style character. But everything outside of our humans here is stunning. The background animation, the world building that takes place, all of our non-human characters that are introduced, the landscapes, the night, everything is stunning. And the world building itself is really fun. The ideas of dark and their embodiment and the other night spirits that come to life and build out our world was really fun to explore. And we get introduced to things in the night that I certainly wasn't anticipating. I also think our voice cast is fantastic. Jacob Tremblay is just a gift, a treasure to film. Obviously, he was a little bit younger here when he did this voice work back in the pandemic, but he's wonderful as Orion in the film. Paul Walter Hauser, who we're not going to talk about too much, is also very good in the film itself. Ike Barinholtz is a lot of fun, and Angela Bassett brings this beautiful regalness to her character, as she usually does. I thought all of the ideas presented here were needed across the board. We really run the gambit between everything having to do with existentialism and your place in the world and the galaxy, down to just everyday fears such as the dark. And the importance of the dark and nighttime. Yes, we run the gambit from very simple and basic to really existential when it comes to the screenplay and the different issues we're trying to tackle. Also, and I really enjoy, and I have to say, my favorite part of this film was the first act. It is at its most inventive, its most kinetic in that first act. It's really funny. The script is really moving when we get started. As we set up all of this, it's a lot of fun, and I appreciate that they utilize so many different animation styles. The film never overstays its welcome at an hour 30 with credits. This thing flies by, but doesn't skimp on the heart because you do ultimately get to that heart. And I think the third act packs a lot of heart into the punch. And as I said in the opening, this is by Charlie Kaufman. So you know we're going to be swinging for the fences. You know you're going to be getting something outside of the box. And I appreciate Dreamworks, a really mainstream animation studio, for taking on a script from a screenwriter and filmmaker like Charlie Kaufman, who is so outside of the realm of what DreamWorks usually brings to the table. And I do think they find a decent enough middle ground between the two to create a nice film like this. At the end of the day, I do think Orion and the Dark has enough for everyone. It has the really basic ideas that kids are going to be able to grasp onto. Though there are moments in this film you wonder if maybe we're pushing them into further being scared of the dark, but we'll see. But obviously, they also introduce a lot of elements that I think are really going to ring true for parents as we move throughout. But I'm gonna let Charlie Kaufman actually lead me into the negatives when it comes to Orion and the Dark as well. Because I think it just does too much. I left the film not really knowing what it is Kaufman and company wanted us to truly get from this film. The end message I got, I'm not going to say because I think it leads into a lot of spoilers, comes through a storytelling device that is used in this film that I didn't actually love, if I'm being completely honest. And that led to the final message of the film being something that took me in an unexpected place and was nice in and of itself. It just wasn't really the message I came in getting and wasn't always the main focus of what we were doing here. There's too many messages, there's too many ideas jumbled in, and ultimately I was left saying, well, okay, I thought it was about overcoming your fears, or I thought it was about the importance of the darkness, I thought it was about this, I thought it was about that. And there's so much in here, and it really goes to that existential place, as Kaufman always seems to do, that it unfortunately feels a little bit too muddled by the end. So the big emotional impacts don't truly land as hard as they really could have if we had streamlined. The messages don't truly come across as well as I'd hoped if we had just streamlined. And I do think the film is at its best when we are in the whimsical, when we are doing the fantastical, magical moments. That's where the animation sings. I think that's where the script sings. And unfortunately, it all adds up to just being too much noise in the dark. So overall, I did appreciate a lot with Orion and the Dark. Unfortunately, I don't think it achieved this really profound greatness that it was aiming for, but it settles in on a perfectly lovely film that I'm glad I watched. DreamWorks continues to provide really innovative storytelling mechanisms through their animation alone, though, again, I wish the characters Though I do wish the human characters had been given more attention. The original score is absolutely stunning in this film and creates this sense of wonder and magic, but it is undermined by the screenplay pushing for something and not able to commit to any of the story beats it goes for. So while I appreciate a lot of what they do here, and I'm glad I watched Orion and The Dark, it ultimately really winds up as a mixed bag. So if you're a big animation fan like I am, I definitely recommend checking this film out. I think there's a lot to offer here, and I do think, like a lot of Charlie Kaufman scripts, there is going to be a segment of people that really, really identify with and love this film. And I think there's going to be a lot of folks who find it to be a bit of a muddled mess. As for me, I think it's right in the middle. As I said in my intro, it reaches for greatness and in turn blows past the sweet spot it was hoping to grasp onto. So that was my review for Orion and the Dark. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos, including my reaction to Orion and the Dark. Yes, I filmed my full reaction so you can watch along with me when the film releases globally on Netflix February 2nd. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you're always up to date on all of my other videos, and make sure you join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Orion and the Dark? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.